This is the jpeg2RAW podcast. I'm Mike Howard. I'm broadcasting from the basement of Knob Studios here in sunny and hot Atlanta. jpeg2RAW is a photography podcast for the amateur photographer. You can find us on the web at www.knobstudios.com, and you can contact the show by emailing us at podcast@knobstudios.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Flickr, and Twitter by searching for jpeg2RAW, or just follow the links on our website. This is jpeg2RAW show number 12, and tonight we have a very special guest. We have Morgan Kervin. Is that how you pronounce your last name? Morgan Kervin from Morgan Kervin Photography. How are you doing, Morgan?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Doing great. You know, I was thinking about you today, and that we have been having 2 days of solid rain, and I thought, you know, you're out there out west where you've been having a little bit of a drought, right?
Well, actually, Saturday evening and Sunday, we had, I think, close to about 6 inches of rain here.
Well, that's very good. Very good. Maybe it's stopping for you guys. Very good. So I think we're going to have it stop later tonight, so that would be good too.
Yeah, and thanks. And it's on its way up here to New York.
Well, we could use the rain. And that was Tim. Tim Kimberly is our co-host, and welcome, Tim.
Good evening. How is everybody doing today?
Doing good. So we're probably not, if you're looking at us on stream, you're not going to see Morgan's video right now. And Tim, for whatever reason, yours is not there either, but that's fine. We're not going to be spending a lot of time on our video. We'll be going to the photos here in a minute. But, you know, we always start off with a piece of news, and let's see, where is that? You slide over. So, you know, I've talked before, Tim, about the Lytro camera, and I know, Morgan, you probably hadn't heard about this, but there's a camera called a Lytro camera that will let you focus the image after you've taken the photo. So you take the photo, you bring it back home, you can focus it then. It's crazy. But you know, who knows when that's going to come out? Well, Adobe is now working on a feature, an unblur feature like we've never seen before, and I'll put this in the show notes. But it's something that will eventually probably make its way to Photoshop. And if you go to this link I'm going to have here, they do a demo where they have a photo, and I think it's probably a bootleg video, but it's on YouTube, you can see it. But it shows a blurred image, and they run it through an algorithm, they do a little testing on it, and somehow they're able to unblur the whole image and to a really incredible amount. And that's, pretty exciting. Although as a photographer, sometimes, it's almost getting too easy for some of these things. But I think one of the things they're looking at is maybe for cell phones and that kind of thing, where you'd have to do this after, because it does take a lot of computer horsepower to do this. And they're also looking at using it not just for photos, but let's say you've taken a photo with your cell phone or whatever of text, and they can clean up text to an incredible degree. So there's a lot of features for that. One thing they do say in this video, if you watch the video, is that and I'll put the link here in chat if I can. One thing that they talk about in the video is that it may be a while before it comes out. They're not giving any commitment on when it's going to come into the Photoshop, or actually if it will come in Photoshop or be a separate product or anything. But pretty interesting.
Technology is amazing. You really got to. I mean, I go back to when I was younger, and my father watched Candid Camera, and he used to say, it's trick photography. You can't believe it. Now you really can't believe anything you see.
Yeah.
I'd feel like I was cheating.
I know. One of my things is HDR. I love HDR, but sometimes I feel like I'm cheating. And this really would feel like you're cheating, is doing something like this, where you almost would just shoot away, not worrying about sharpness, and then bring it back. Although when we get to some of your photos, Morgan, I cannot imagine that they could actually get to that level of quality with just starting with junk. I mean, I think you got to start with a quality image to get a quality output. But who knows? We'll see. Even if that's true, there's still something that can't be replaced by a computer, and that is the creativity, and not just in the actual image, but different angles and that kind of stuff. That those little tricks will never replace the photographer.
Right.
Then I have one other piece of show news, and as if we have 3 feeds. We have the audio feed, and we have two video feeds, a video large, video small. I was a little late in putting out the video feeds this time, but for very good reason. If you've been subscribed to the video large, it's not only, it's not so large in the dimensions, but very large in the file size. So it's been running 750 meg for a podcast. That's pretty big. I did something this last time where I'm compressing it in a different way, and I've taken that 750 meg file now down to a 225 meg file, and actually increased the resolution slightly.
Wow, that's good.
So yeah, it's
Good job.
it's a much better, stronger compression. So the quality actually looks a little better. And I downloaded it on my phone before I put it out to the feed to make sure it didn't come across just horrible. And it looks even better than the one before. Now, the downside for me, it took 5 hours to process.
Holy cow.
5 hours on my server here that's got a 6-core CPU with 8 gig of RAM. The thing is that the program only used one core of the CPU.
Only
So,
use one. Yeah, that's
but
the problem.
yeah, that's one of those things where you can just set it up, go to bed, and in the morning you got the final product. So I'm probably not going to go back and do prior shows. That's one of the things. This is show 12, and we're still new at this and learning every show. So if you're a new subscriber, you get to see us make all these mistakes. But that's one of the things. Hopefully, we'll keep improving. So now the file size for the large video is 2/3 the size of what used to be the small, and the small is even a good bit smaller than that.
Right, because the small was running around 250 to 300.
Yeah, so it's smaller than that now. So okay, so let's go into Morgan, and Morgan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into photography?
Well, I am 25, and I got into photography. I modeled for about 14 years, from when I was about 6 months old to a teenager. Then I kind of was out of it for a while, and then I had my daughter and my son, and I really had a problem with the horrendousness of the chain studios. I actually only went, I think, twice with my son, and I just knew that they just didn't take enough care to actually completely envelop what the children are like. So my husband got me my camera, and I started taking pictures just of the kids. I had zero intentions of making a business out of it. Then I had a couple of friends see the pictures, and I live in a military community, and there are always someone that is just getting back from deployment, or coming home from it, getting back, or going to, or just had a baby, or about to have a baby. There's always some milestone. And I just started having friends ask if I would take, let's say, going away pictures, or coming home pictures, or just had a baby pictures. And then their friends started asking, and then friends of their friends. And then it was just so much time away that I knew if I wanted to continue doing it, because I really, really enjoy it, that I needed to take the steps to become a business. So it pretty much snowballed extremely quickly from getting my camera to learning everything I possibly could and becoming a professional.
So how did you learn? How'd you go from, I hate to say mom with a camera, because it could be dad with a camera, but
Right.
a person with a camera. How did you learn enough to go from that to a pro?
I am the type of person that once I read it or see it, is forever cataloged in my head. So what I did was I got on the internet, and I searched everything I possibly could. I did online webinars. I read everything. I took it all in. And then I got the photography, the 10th edition by Barbara Upton, and I read it over again. And once I would learn one aspect, I would always leave knowing I needed to learn something else. So I was constantly learning. I'm still constantly learning. I can learn from everybody. But I knew that I needed to read, and I knew I needed to have it be second nature before I ever attempted to do anything with it.
So other than online, did you take any kind of courses like a workshop or anything like that?
No, all I did, I watched a few Creative Live webinars. I also, whenever Sandy Pooch started her You Can Do, the Certify with Sandy, got onto that when they first started it, and I watched the webinars that they had there, and took the little classes and lessons, and just anything any way I could possibly learn, I was there.
Well,
Okay.
Kelly Williams out in chat is asking a question, which is kind of along the lines I was going to ask you. When was the first time, more or less, that you started taking any sort of pictures? And her question is, what kind of camera did you start with? I mean, it sounds like you didn't take any formal education, and you just kind of one day said, you know what, I don't like the pictures I'm getting of my kids. I'm going to start taking better pictures.
Right. Actually, I still have the camera that I started with. I just upgraded my glass. I have a Nikon D40X, which is not a good camera.
It's a Nikon though.
It is a Nikon.
Yeah.
Tim is a Sony shooter, so I give him heck that, I'm Nikon also, by the way.
Absolutely, it's fantastic. I love
So-
Nikon.
Yeah, whatever.
A D4, so a D40X,
Yes.
and what lens?
I use my 35 millimeter 1.8. I use it exclusively.
Yes, and that is an incredible thing. So as we start going through some of these photos, keep in mind that every single one of these she shot with a 35 1.8. That is incredible that you did this with. What I think, some people would say the D40 is not a professional camera, but the key is it's not the camera, it's the photographer. The photographer what makes the camera professional. So you did not with that gear. You did excellent work. And you didn't need the expensive gear.
No.
Although a 35 1.8, I don't know what that runs. That's not probably too cheap.
200 actually. So
Really?
It's not crazy expensive. It's the only one that has the motor inside, so it can autofocus on my camera. That's a prime that allows me to have that space.
That is incredible. I've been wanting a 35 for a long time, and now you says $200. Yeah, I need to go look at that and get one of those. So okay. So you started shooting professionally. So you got clients by people just word of mouth.
Yes.
And what was your goal? Were you wanting to build this into a full-time position, or are you wanting to, still keep this a part-time deal?
At first, I just intention of becoming a business when I first started taking friends of friends. Whenever I did know that I wanted to make it into a business, ideally I wanted to be able to take it full time and open up a storefront studio sometime in our nearby downtown area that's very quaint, and I don't know, it's like I never wanted to be like an in-and-out chain store. I always wanted to be extremely custom.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you compared this to, I don't remember what you said, but like the Walmarts or what we had around here is Ola Mills and those kind of things. And the quality you get from your photos is just unmatched by those guys. I mean, it's just very different. You can tell that you spent some time with the people and work with them rather than just, all right, number 12 is up, now time for 13, hurry up so we can get to the next person.
Right.
Yeah. So another question along the gear, as long as we're talking about gear, is do you have a tripod or anything like that? Or are you hand holding all these?
I do have a tripod. I do not use it. I hand hold everything. One of my big things is you have to have incredible stability if you're going to hand hold. I can hand hold with my shutter down to 6, which I know some people think it's absolutely crazy. But typically my shutter speed is about 100, especially with my studio shots. My shutter is at 100. Every single one of them, all of my studio settings have the same exact settings, no matter what subject matter I'm shooting. And
so I'm sorry, say that again. So all your images have what?
all my studio images have the same settings. My shutter speed is always 100. F-stop is 2.2, ISO 100. I know some people think it's absolutely crazy for me to shoot down at 100 or below, but I have incredible stability. I don't take
Now,
a lot of core strength.
are you using lights in camera? I mean, in
Yes.
studio?
Yes, I have studio equipment.
Okay, so that does help. When you have lights, it does help a little bit with stopping the motion. And we got a question out in chat is how when you first start off. I don't know if this is probably what they were talking about. When you first start off, what kind of how did you deal with critiques? Because I imagine unless if you're anything like me, and you've surpassed me, but when you first start off, you're not that good. You're still learning. And so, not everybody's going to be easy on the critiques. How did you handle with the critiques?
I am the type of person that I know it's not personal, that I know it's, critiquing a body of work. And although I do put all my emotions into it, it's just business. So I really didn't take offense to it. I just understood that there was a problem and I needed to fix it.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I've noticed from your site, and this is something that if you're starting off, is what I think you should keep in mind at any point in time, not just when you're starting off, but when I look through your images, they're all really good to me. They're all really good quality. That doesn't mean that every photo you shoot is really good.
No.
I would hope not.
No.
Yeah, really.
If not, I'm just going to quit taking pictures. But what you do, and if you're beginning photographers, what you need to do is only show, especially on your website, your good work.
Yes.
And I don't know how many times I've gone to a photographer's website, and I hope that's not just their good work. So I think when you're talking about somebody who brought up the critiquing thing, it's not just other people critiquing you. You got to critique yourself,
Yes.
and be honest with yourself. And hey, we're all going to take bad images. You just learn from them and go and do better and learn what you did wrong. So along those lines, what are you shooting in manual mode, aperture mode, shutter mode?
I have only ever shot in manual mode. As soon as I got my camera, I started transitioning over to manual, and that was it.
Well, while you and I have in common the Nikon, you and Tim have in common the manual, and I guess I'm the only loser here that I still shoot in aperture mode. Tim shoots manual also. So even in the field, you're shooting in manual mode?
Yes.
Wow. Now, are you shooting JPEG or RAW?
RAW.
And you're cutting out a little bit there, so I will say it for the chat. She only shoots RAW, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, not that JPEG's wrong, but that's fine. Now I don't know if I can find it here on the spot, so we may have to somebody else talk while I do this. But you also use reflectors when you're out in the field too, right?
I do.
And so I'm looking at your webpage here. Where would that shot of you, or is that on your blog? Of you?
My flamingo.
Yes.
Rachel Brinke took that one. It's on my Facebook one.
Okay. Hold on.
Now, I guess the question is, when you're using a reflector, does somebody else hold it for you? Do you have other people that go out with you to shoot, or?
That's the good thing. Wait till you hear this.
It depends. I can have someone else hold it if I have another set of hands. If not, I will flamingo, as you can see.
Here you come. Here it is in chat.
Ah, flamingo.
So,
Yeah.
so one of the things that attracted me to Morgan to get her on the show was she seemed like a photographer who was going to do whatever she needed to do to get the shot. And this is where she doesn't have anybody helping her. She is sitting there taking her shot and balanced on one leg with her what is that called? I forgot all of a sudden.
My reflector.
Yeah, her
Reflector
reflector.
balanced by her knee between on the floor.
Yes.
Yes.
So I imagine you having to angle that to get it to the right spot to reflect right.
Correct.
That just seems, and you're still now you can't be at 100 shutter speed even with that, can you?
I can. I tell you, I'm extremely sturdy.
Dang. That is incredible.
I don't move. Once I get there, I don't move.
So, do you have any secrets? Or is that just you personally are very stable, or is that something that you know that you have a tip for the rest of us that we might be able to be more stable?
Take some yoga classes.
Take some yoga classes.
Take some yoga classes. Get to know the tree pose and be best friends with it.
Well, I was going to say at the beginning of the show, and I forgot to say it, that I've been going to the gym 4 days a week, and I was going to give you all some news so you can make fun of me. I've been going to the gym 4 days a week to lose the weight, get in shape, and I've injured my foot. And you might say, "Gosh, Mike, what were you doing? Like, you were 30 minutes into a 7 mile an hour run on the treadmill." No, I was walking to the car to go to the gym.
Oh, no.
And I didn't trip over or anything like that. My foot started hurting, and it's 2 weeks later, it still kind of hurts. So whatever. I am not as stable as you, and I'm not going to try something like that. I like the higher shutter speeds.
Mike, we're not 25 either.
No, we're not as young as Morgan. So now, you did this part time, and what kind of from a business standpoint, what was the main issues you had? So getting clients has got to be an issue, keeping clients has got to be an issue, and building that client base. Was that tough, or in your area was that easy? What was the challenges there?
The thing is that you have to find out who your clients are first. The very first thing, you have to find out who they are, what they're doing, where they're at. If you find that out, then you can put yourself in their conversations. So that's pretty much what I did. I found out who my clients are. I found out they were military wives, most likely higher officers' wives, commanders' wives. Then I put myself in their conversations. Their moms. So go to play groups. Once you get to the play group, hold on, my hair I think is touching my microphone.
Oh, your quality even got better too.
Yes, absolutely. Whatever you did helped.
Yes, it was my hair. So go to play groups. Find a very active play group, and maybe offer to do sessions at a discount for that play group. And women talk a lot, and they always want to show off their kids' pictures. So all you have to do is get your foot in the door, and they're going to do the rest of the work. That's basically what I did. I just put myself where I needed to be in order to get the clients that I wanted. And to keep them, actually the last client that I delivered pictures to said it the best way that I want my clients to feel. She said, "I feel so spoiled."
Yes.
That's how I want my clients to feel.
Absolutely. That helps build more clients.
Absolutely.
It does. And the quality for me as a parent, if I go to Ola Mills, Walmart, whatever, what you're going to get. You're going to get the standard thing, no creativity. They're going to go to slide background number 4, whatever it is they're going to do. But when you go to you and you look at the photos that you've taken, I mean, these are individualized, not seeing the same shot over and over again. And I would feel as a parent, just, look at the quality, look at the creativity. And, I would want to be coming back every year with my kids to do that. Now, I guess the challenge is the cost is probably a little bit more. And, there is still competition out there.
Yes.
So, I imagine you got to find the right spot, the right pricing model that works for you. And, one of the challenges I'd imagine, and reading you started a very active group on Facebook. One of the challenges that a lot of the photographers seem to face is pricing pressure. People don't always understand because they're going to compare you to the Walmart, the Ola Mills, whatever it is, and look at it from a pure dollar standpoint, not necessarily from a quality. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with that?
It's a trade-off. You have to figure out how much your time away from your family is worth. I mean, you have to factor every single thing that you do with each client into that. And So you need your base price of what exactly they're going to be spending at the bare minimum. You need that to be covered. You need your time away from your family to be covered first off. And then everything after that is more, profitability and going back into the business. But you need first your time away from your family and to be able to sustain what you're doing. Because if you're going to burn out, there's no point in doing it.
Right.
So there's no point, in my opinion, to start out extraordinarily low in pricing to where you're just undercutting everyone, including yourself. There's not really a whole lot of a good amount of reasons to do that. You need to figure out first off, when you first start establishing your business, you need to figure out what pricing you want to be in the long run and maybe discount that, but let them know that you're discounting it so that whenever you do get up to your real price, it's not a sticker shock.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And do you have to be willing to walk away from some clients?
I have a set amount of days and times that I have set aside specifically for photography and for my clients. So when someone comes to me and they inquire about a session, I say, okay, what type of session would you like? So I know how much time I need to allot. Then we establish the dates and times I have available and locations, because each location, especially outdoor locations, has different prime times. So if they pick, say, location A, then I have times such and such and such and such. Whereas if I choose a different location and it's a different time.
You there?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Yeah. So one of the questions out in chat was, are you selling them prints or CDs, or what's the final product you're giving the client?
Both. A lot of 98% of my clientele is military. Most of them, what they're going to be doing with the pictures is loading them up on the computer and emailing them to their spouse, or sending them digitally over to family over in Europe or Germany or wherever they're from. So I have to put them on CD because that's what my clients want. I have to cater to my clients, and that's what they want. But I also do sell prints as well, and that is where most of my profitability comes from. I have clients that my last client ordered an entire wall gallery. That's what ideally I want.
Yeah.
Of course. And usually I try to provide a print or two, or even a business card with their image on it. So that way, if they do go to Walmart, which they don't, because I tell them where they should go if they're going to print it themselves, they will have it in front of them so they know the different quality.
Yeah. Where would you recommend people go to print if they're wanting to print?
If they're a consumer, if they're not a professional, then I recommend them to go to MPix.
Okay.
Which is, one of Miller's. It's their consumer lab.
Right. Yeah. I've seen that on before. Who do you use? Do you mind
I
telling
use
us?
Miller's. Miller's for prints and White House Custom Color for press products.
Yeah, I use White House Custom Color also. So now I got an image up. If you don't mind us moving over to an image. I'm talking about an image here. This one struck me when I was looking at it, and this is one of the ones I was thinking she must be shooting with either 35 or a 50 millimeter. And if you're out, I want to point out, if you're out in chat looking at this, the quality that you're seeing here is going to be reduced some because of we are broadcasting this and everything. So make sure you go out to her site and see the quality. I mean, it is outstanding. So you took this with 35. And then you imagine you have to edit it. What kind of software are you using to edit?
I use CS5 for it. Most of my editing is done in ACR because I love RAW.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do that a lot of people probably don't even know, but your lens distorts the image, especially if you're extremely close, which in this case I was. You can tell it's pretty close.
Yeah.
I utilize the, I believe it's the distortion tab to make it not distorted, where her nose would normally straight out of camera was a little bit more bulbous, and so with the distortion, I just popped it back to where it's supposed to be, because I remember exactly what she really looks like that close.
Yeah.
And then I go into Photoshop. I just do a quick levels adjustment. I adjust the color, make it a little more saturated, and then I sharpen it. And that's pretty much what I do.
Have you ever tried Lightroom?
I do. I'm just not a fan of Lightroom.
Really?
I don't know. I tried it, and I really wanted to use it, but I really prefer Bridge and ACR to Lightroom.
Well,
Wow, I switched over completely from Photoshop into Lightroom. I shouldn't say completely, but probably 95% of the time I'll be in Lightroom now. And I used to use Photoshop exclusively until probably about a year and a half ago, and I switched to Lightroom, and I have not looked back.
I'm kind of the same way, but for me, I downloaded the trial, and I think it was a 30-day trial. You can get it. For the first 17 days, I believe it was, I hated Lightroom. I said this is a waste, but I kept at it because I was thinking that everybody else is using this. There must be something there, and then something clicked with me, and ever since then I've loved it. But I think the key is getting down a workflow, and if Photoshop is what works for you, then hey, that's what you need to do. The reason they have multiple tools is because one tool doesn't fit everybody. And one thing I can't do, Morgan, is argue with your output. I mean, your output is working for you. So
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't change that. So now going back to what you say in your settings, where you were shooting the 35, it's a 35-1.8, at ISO 100, shutter speed 100, and what was the aperture again you were using?
2.2.
2.2. So
that's my sweet spot on the lens.
And this was an in-studio shot, I'd imagine.
Correct.
So that would be what you have here. And you must be like focusing on the eyes or something?
Yes. I always focus on the pupil of the eye closest to me.
Now, it has really good depth of field. I mean, if you look at the lips, the nose, the eyes, and I think if I can tell, the hairline at the top, all in good sharp focus. But right after that, going back to the ears back, it is out of focus. And that's that 35 f1.8, at f2.2, it's doing that. Mm-hmm. I think that probably is, if you shot with a 50, you would have a little bit less in focus. So that 35 is a really good lens. I think when we're done here, I'm probably going to go buy a 35.
I was just looking it up on Amazon, so yes,
I've already got the page pulled up, Tim.
So do I.
Now, what's going to be sad is when I get the 35 and go take pictures and they don't look like this.
I know some people that absolutely hate the 35, but it works for me.
Yeah.
It works for me, and the 35 work really well together. And all my studio images, they take me about 15 seconds to edit.
That was going to be my next question is how much time are you spending editing? So on this photo, you spent maybe 15, what'd you say, 15 seconds?
Yeah, about between 15 seconds, 45 seconds. I import. I have a preset set to my studio for ACR. Just click it, preset, and then open it up in Photoshop. Do any adjustments, like if she has any flaky skin, lighten up the bags under her eyes a little bit. Anything like that I need to do. And then I have an action that I run that I created with my levels adjustment and other, the color popping and everything that I do. Run that and then save, and I'm done.
Okay. So, obviously you got the talent of the photographer and all that, but do you think some of it is the studio lighting? Are you spending 15 seconds on outdoor shots also?
That depends on the background. Let's say if I have a place that the lighting is just phenomenal, but there's power lines. Of course, I'm going to have to spend time and clone the power lines and all of that. But other than that, I look for the perfect location. That one, for example, outside, took me about 15 to 30 seconds to edit that one also.
Okay. Now, how much time are you spending with the kids? Are you having to, get them? Some of these are pretty young kids. How are you getting them to pose so well and stay what looks to us as so well behaved?
The thing is, I never tell kids, "Oh, you're so handsome, you're so beautiful." The trick is you have to get them to laugh and genuinely laugh. Like, so you meet them and you say, "Oh, hi, I'm Morgan. How old are you?" And they'll say, "Oh, I'm 5 or 6." "There's no way you're 5 or 6. You're so tall. You're like 15." And then you get a giggle.
Yeah.
And then you can ask them, you can say, "Okay, let's stand here." "Oh, that's not how the Transformers stand," or "That's not how Captain America stands." You use, a little psychology with
Yeah.
them, get them to interact with you, and then you do it. I always do it myself, and so they know exactly what they need to do, and then I'll make small adjustments here or there, and then I get them to interact with mom or dad. Like, say I ask, "How old do you think mom is?" "Oh, she's 150." And then everyone laughs, and then they laugh because you're laughing. So it's always really fun with me. Or I'll let them pick the location that they want, and I just adjust myself to the lighting. I need them to be happy with what they're doing, or it's going to show in the picture that they're not happy at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And so are you dressing them like this little girl we have here has something on her head? I don't know. I never had girls. I had boys, so I don't know what that is.
It's a birthday hat.
A birthday hat. Okay. And my boys never wore anything.
And your
like
boys
that.
would not wear a hat like that, I'm sure.
They would not. I guess at that age they probably would have. But are you have a lot of props and clothes? Like the little boy we had before that had a bow tie on. Are you having to fix their hair and get them ready, or is all that the parents doing all that?
It depends. There are some times where I will do styled shoots, especially if I'm having children model for a boutique. Sometimes after I have a boutique modeling, and my clients will see the pictures and they will specifically request something similar. And I have no problem doing that. But a lot of the times, for instance, with my birthday sessions, they're a huge hit. They say, "Well, what do you suggest?" I say, "Okay, how old are they? What's their favorite colors? Or what theme do you have in mind for them?" So say for this one, she said she wanted pink and white. So pink background, pink hat, the cake was white, just very simple. I've had other ones where I use streamers for the background. I've had, the door hang things, or like the bead hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use those for backdrops instead of streamers, to add a little razzle dazzle to it. Do you have to really think out of the box, like get an idea in your head and then go nuts?
Now, do you come up with these creative ideas, or do you look in other places and say, "That's something I want to do," or do a combination of the both?
It's a combination of both. For Christmas last year, one of the things was I did hanging ornaments, and it was just random hanging ornaments that seemed to be floating in air instead of the typical around the Christmas tree. And then the streamers, I had seen that on another photographer's website that I really adore. And then with the bead things, I just took from that because other people started doing the streamers, so I needed to step off and do something different.
Now, do you ever run into a kid who is just difficult?
I do.
And how do you deal with that? And I guess along that lines, how much time are you spending in a typical shoot?
Typically, with children, if it's just the child, probably about 45 minutes to an hour. What I do with the shy or the difficult kids is I play to their curiosity, because kids they're curious. They want to know what you're doing, and a lot of them, you can't just go up and start with a camera in your face and not ever say anything to them. They'll be terrified. So normally, if they're shy or having a little trouble, relaxing in front of me, I'll go over there and I'll let them take a few pictures. I'll say, "Oh, okay, you want to shoot mom and dad? Okay, come over here. You come stand by me." And I get them over here and I start, letting them click the shutter, and I'll let them have a little fun, and they look on the back and they think it's so funny. And I'll say, "Okay, let me take a few of you, and then you can come back and do it again." And then by then they're just having a grand old time.
Awesome. So you basically just have to take your time and not try and rush the kid.
Right. I want them to feel like it's a play date. I don't want it to feel like mom took them to the store and is making them pose for pictures for 15 seconds.
Yeah. Now the shot I have up now is an outside shot,
Mhm.
and I'm guessing that somebody's holding the thing up there in the back.
Yes, her mom.
Yeah, it looks it looks like wind blown and is blowing it back there, which I guess what you were trying to achieve.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and it looks good. I like that. I love the blue. I love blue. Blue's my favorite color. But so I love the blue in the background, nice blurred. Now, is this another you just spent, 45 seconds editing?
um, a little bit. I had to remove a little color cast off her face.
Okay.
But other than that, I waited until the light I waited for the sun to drop below the tree line so I would get great even lighting.
Okay.
And so it takes a lot less time for me to do anything whenever I get it right in camera.
Now, in the studio, you're using lights, and I forgot to ask, but what kind of lights do you use?
I have a Square Perfect set. It is the 4200
Okay.
kit.
I'm not familiar with them. Are they sort of like an Alien Bees or something? You know what Alien
Sort of.
Bees? Okay.
Yeah, they're strobes.
Okay.
They're quite powerful. They're extremely good. They're daylight bulbs. They're true. I've never had to replace a bulb in all the years that I've had them. They've always been perfect for me. I've never had any issue. I've had a few friends that I referred them to get the same thing, and they haven't had any issues either. And all of their studio work comes out fantastic also.
Are you familiar with the Alien Bees? How would these, from a pricing standpoint, line up with an Alien Bee?
A lot cheaper.
Oh, really? Okay.
A lot cheaper.
Okay.
For my entire kit, which I bought from a friend who was a photographer, I believe it is about $700 for the entire kit that I have, which is 3 strobes, 2 light stands, a boom stand, 2 soft boxes, an umbrella, reflector, background kit, 3 backgrounds, filters, snoots, barn doors, honeycombs, everything.
Wow.
Yes.
That is a fantastic price. If anybody's ever priced out gear, that's a great
It's
price.
phenomenal.
Yeah. Now, in the field, like with this one, are you using any kind of lights on camera? One of the hot shoe strobes or anything like that? Or are you just using reflectors?
Neither.
Neither.
This is pure natural light.
Okay. In this one image, but what about typically in the field? Do you ever use strobes or hot shoe flashes or anything like that?
I really don't. Like I said earlier, I really find the optimal location and have my clients pick what time they want from the prime times that are for that location. I utilize natural reflectors a whole lot. A lot of people don't, and I don't understand why they don't. I love natural reflectors.
Can you give me an example of a natural reflector?
A white bench.
Okay.
A white or a cream wall, sand, light colored gravel, anything that's light, I will use as a natural reflector.
And now you're pre-picking the locations as well, so you know what is going to be there. And like you said, you're picking the time that you want to take the pictures, so you kind of know what your lighting is going to be before you get there as well, I guess.
Absolutely. I have a website. I have a page on my website that I list the location options and examples of that location. So clients can go through and they can say, oh, I love this field. I love this waterfall. I love this location. So that I can say, okay, well, that location time is 7 p.m. So you have these dates at 7 p.m. that I'm available for that.
Okay. And in case you didn't know, Morgan's coming from an iPhone, aren't you?
I am.
So every once in a while, her audio has a little bit of trouble, but it's doing really good, Morgan. There's a couple of times when it breaks up, but for most of the show, it's been excellent. And we did cut your video, which I think was a good deal because we're just showing the pictures of on your website anyway. So one of the things us amateurs, and when I say us, I'm including you, Tim.
That's fine.
Okay. I could just say me. We're always taught don't shoot into the light. Don't shoot into the light. And the image I have up right now, you're shooting into the light, but using that light to add to the image, in my opinion.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about this and how you are able to make it where it doesn't overpower the image?
What I do is I get into the spot that I want, and then I extremely slowly tilt it until I just a little fringe on the side. Not enough to take away contrast from the actual subject, just enough to add a dreamy feel to what I want. It's
Okay.
I don't like to shoot directly into the sun, but I am definitely a fan of 45 degrees shots to the sun.
Well, I think that's a good tip right there, is to not have it reduce the contrast from the subject. So the spot where the light is, who cares about up there? You're losing some of the trees in the background, but who cares? The subject is still looks really good. And how do you get your inspiration for some of this shot and things like that? Is that like Tim was saying before? You come up with the ideas yourself, or you finding it somewhere?
It's a little bit of both, and a lot of my inspiration comes from my clients themselves, with their personalities. A lot of the times, for instance, this little girl
Oh, let me go back to her.
absolutely hated ladybugs.
Ah,
So I was she was smelling the flowers, and then she would freak out if a ladybug came, but she would find it hilarious if she knocked a ladybug off the flower. So just her interaction, I really feed off of children. It sounds horrible. But whenever I see how they interact, and I can see their curiosity and the way that they think and things that they find interesting that I might not even notice as an adult, I really I feed on it, and I take it and I run with it. And a lot of the times they're doing something on their own, and I'm off talking to their mom for a second, and I see that they're doing something completely amazing and I'm missing it. So I will stop exactly what I'm doing. I'll tell the parent, hold on just a second. I drop down really fast, down flat on my stomach, and I'll take a few shots. That's mainly where I get my inspiration from, is just from my clients and their personalities.
and now we've been spending most of our time, or the whole time here, talking about children photography, but you do shoot maternity, newborn, and family. And I imagine other things too. But I'm on here on your website. You have those 4 main categories. Which one of the 4 would you say is your favorite that you like to shoot the most?
Definitely children.
Children.
Children are just so much fun. You never know what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting on your website. It said if you're going to do newborn photography, they had to be less than 10 days old. And you had some really fabulous pictures where I told my wife before, when I was going through your website, I said it would have been great to have my son where I'm holding him in my hand, as just the palm of my hand. And because my son was a tiny baby when he was born. So, I mean, you got some amazing newborn pictures here. And
Thank you.
Were you talking about this one?
no, there's another one. It might have been a couple of pictures after that.
It's on a gray.
I think it was black and white.
Tan. There's one on a tan background, beige background.
Yeah, tan background one.
It's the baby.
That's the one.
It is.
a tan background or a black background?
Yeah, it's if you're
tan.
and it's the baby
I have
in the
also
hand.
one on a black. It's the third to the last one.
Third to the last one. 1, 2.
And the left hand side is just straight tan, and the right hand side is the. It looks like the left hand is holding the baby.
Yes.
Okay. Is it this one? Let's see when it comes up. That one. When you guys can see it.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I just love that picture.
Holy mackerel! How young is that baby?
She was, I believe, 4 or 5 days old.
Wow. That's incredible.
She was only happy when her dad was holding her.
Yeah, she looks very content right there.
And I'm sure his arm got tired then after a while.
So
Well, I had him holding the other. He was supporting the other arm. He was supporting his arm with the other one, so it wasn't too bad.
Well, I mean, she can't weigh more than 6-7 pounds at best anyway. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fabulous picture.
Yeah. Now, once you start involving the parents, like in that shot or in the shot coming up, are they pretty eager to get into the shot and as easy to manipulate as the children?
Most of the times they are. I have really, really easygoing clients, and I love that. I've only had a few where the parents didn't want to be in the pictures, but I usually tell them, come ready just in case. And usually by the end of it, they really want to jump in there and have fun too.
Yeah, I'm looking at this photo and it looks so natural. One of the things when I try and take portraits, and again, I'm not a pro, but they look staged. They look like I have said, okay, you do this, and I say cheese, and then they take the picture, something crazy like that. But this one looks so natural. And the person has such a wonderful smile on their face. How do you?
Well, it shows the love. That's what I see.
Yeah, it shows the love. How are you just letting things happen? I mean, how do you direct them to do these certain poses?
I slowly do it one step at a time. First, I start out with the basic, the holding of, the stance of it, and then I work on the details, such as bring your head down, touch your cheek just to her forehead. Okay, now I want you to take a deep breath in and be happy. And it's just small little things that I'll say that make a huge difference. You don't have to make them go crazy. Just be happy. And, ask them a question. How did you feel when you got to hold her for the first time?
Yeah.
Or how do you feel whenever she laughs at you or she smiles at you? And most of the time, especially with dads, like for instance, this dad, I believe he was about to deploy. So he was really happy to be with his baby.
Yeah.
And I learn their stories and I play to them.
Okay.
Now, how many pictures do you take in a normal session?
That was my next question, Tim.
How many do I deliver or how many do I
How many do you take?
actually take?
How many do you take?
In a typical newborn session, I will take about 50 shots. And I will deliver 20, 25, 30, depending on whenever I get into posing newborns, then it's very meticulous and I get the pose right, take 2 shots, switch pose, take 2 shots, switch pose, take 2 shots. When you get adults in there, you have to worry about the blinking and the funky faces that they may make. So I have to take, a few more. But typically in a family session, I take maybe 100. I typically don't go over 100 shots per session.
That's impressive. That really is. I mean,
to some degree, that's depressing.
Yes. How many shots have you taken with your Nikon, Mike?
Oh, let's not even talk about that. So, when you were saying how many shots you were thinking, I was hoping it was in the hundreds.
Sorry.
But that was an incredible ratio. 20 out of 50 is really good. And did you, when you started off, were you that good getting that kind of keeper rate?
I never was a spray and pray kind of gal.
Mm-hmm.
I very much have to line everything up before I ever release the shutter. It was a little bit higher, but I don't think I've ever gone over 200. Ever.
Okay.
And I think about the days when I used to take pictures with my film camera, and I would try to get that perfect Christmas card picture of my son. And that's going back, I guess he was probably about 3 or 4 years old. And I would go through a roll of 24 or 36 pictures and hope that 1 or 2 of them were, I don't want to say worthy, but that's probably the right word, worthy of what I wanted to get out of it.
Right.
I mean, and you're getting 20 out of 50 or 30 out of 50. You said that's unheard of.
I do have to say my spray and pray, Tim, was more when I was shooting soccer.
Well, yeah, soccer. Sports photography is a little different.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
But and I guess when you're shooting with studio lighting, you can't be on 9 frames per second anyway. So
No.
you do have to slow yourself down. And that was one of my tips a while back, is to slow down and think about what you're doing. You know, with you shooting, you're shooting in one setting, manual mode, so you can focus on the framing and all that, and steadying yourself and all that kind of stuff. So that probably helps a little bit there. But still, I would be shooting quite a few and getting a lot less keeper rate. But the fact that you do that helps you on the back end too, because you don't have as many photos to deal with.
No.
So you can a lot less editing.
That's one of the reasons my workflow is very quick. Typically, I have my clients' galleries up within 24 hours completed.
Heck, I haven't finished going through my pictures of Disney, and I was there a month and a half ago.
Wow. So I got a picture here up of baby with, I imagine somebody said it's Air Force hat.
Yes, a beret.
Okay.
Security forces.
Yeah. That's a wonderful picture too. And I will remind people that what you see in here in chat is not nearly as good as what you'd see if you go out to the site.
There are other questions on there if you want me to answer them.
Yeah, answer. I've probably missed some.
I do not follow trends. I'm not a trend follower. I'm not a fan of the haziness unless it specifically calls for it. I'm very much more into showing how things feel. I'm more of an emotional type of editor instead of a trendy type of editor. And then posing. I learned a lot of the posing whenever I was modeling. I learned a lot of the basic things that help a lot with the posing. For posing newborns, I scoured Flickr for hours on end until I got it and figured it out, and I knew that most of those could not be straight out of the camera. I knew they were probably composites, and I do a lot of composites, especially with newborns. I do a lot of cloning with newborns to clone out hands and of mom and dad. There's one of my newborn ones that I have the baby being held on the black background, and it's not at all like you think. I'm not making the baby stand up, being held up in the air. The baby is pushed right up against the dad's body.
Right.
So completely steady. Mom's right there above. Dad is sitting down on the floor.
Yeah. You would not want the baby to fall. Is that the photo I have right up there now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mom was standing right up above baby. So it's completely safe. If I wouldn't do it to my own kid, I won't do it to their kid.
Right.
Morgan, I think your hair's getting in front of your phone again.
Oh, there it goes.
So that really does make a difference. I figured you were just breaking up, but it's your hair?
My hair.
That's incredible.
My hair is crazy.
iPhone's very sensitive, I guess. But then again, I don't have long hair, so I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, me neither, Tim.
Let's see. One more question. What advice would you give to those just starting? Find what you're happy shooting and shoot it.
And
because if you're not happy doing it, it's going to get old really quick.
Yeah.
And you won't be able. It's better to be a master of one subject than a jack of all trades.
Right, because one thing I noticed when I looked at your style is, you looked at your photos here, is they're all really clean and crisp, and they just have a really good look to them all across the board. And so that is a style that I personally like, and I can see it in a lot of your photos. Is that clean look? Now, how you were talking earlier about you look on Flickr or wherever else you said to get inspiration. How did you practice? Because you got to practice these shots. I'd hope that this wasn't just natural for you.
Some of it's natural, but learning the posing of the babies, is that what you mean?
No, well, more so just don't discourage me too much here. I'm hoping that you didn't just start shooting and get this kind of quality right from the very beginning.
No, not at all.
So, how did you go about getting, you know, this kind of get this and practice on people? Were you practice on your own kids or friends or something like that?
Both. Anyone who would sit there long enough for me to take a picture of them, they got practiced on. If they would be still for me, then we were doing good. I would practice on anybody and everybody. I would recruit people for special looks. I would ask friends if they have a friend that had a certain look, like a grunge look or full figured or different skin tones, mixed skin tones. I needed to learn everything about everything. So I just did one step at a time until I got where I wanted to be.
So you did that before you started taking paid clients, or
Yes.
okay,
Yes. Absolutely.
okay. So I think that's key, because one of the things, if you do your learning process with paid clients, you may find trouble continuing to get paid clients.
Yeah, your name will be tarnished.
Well, I think you're obviously a very fast learner as well.
Yeah. Now, as we're getting close to the end of the show, I want to ask you. So, what would you say has been like? Have you ever had anything that was just a disaster or did not go the way you wanted it to go? And how did you deal with that, I should say?
I know where not to go. I know what I'm not good at. I know what I am good at. I know I should not do event photography, even though I've never done it. I just know that I would not be good at it because I'm not one of those that takes a lot of pictures. I have to have everything lined up, so I just don't do it.
Okay.
I've tried boudoir, didn't like it. I'm not a sexy kind of girl, so I'm not comfortable with that. So I just can't do it.
Well, like you said, if you don't like something, you're not going to do it well.
No,
Absolutely.
exactly.
That is a great tip too to the person who's getting into this: is find what you're good at, find what you like, and stay with that. And if you're not good with it, don't do it.
I would try every sort of niche free first.
Yeah.
At least 2 or 3 times. Find out which one makes you smile the entire time you are looking at those images, and when you're shooting them, and run with it. Run towards it, go nuts, and don't ever look back. And find your own way to put yourself into that area. Make it your own. Definitely don't follow what everyone else is doing, or you're just a cookie cutter.
Yeah. So I started off with the negative question on what's been your worst moment, so I can finish with the positive question. What has been of all, going through all this, what has been your favorite, your best thing, your favorite time, your most memorable time, or whatever?
Like a most memorable session?
Yeah, I guess through the whole process of becoming a photographer, taking all these, doing all these sessions and all that. What has kind of been the happiest time from that side? Not counting your kids and family.
I guess that it would be that all of my clients, I would say more than half of them, I talk to pretty much on a regular basis. And I love that I'm able to capture their family as they grow, and that I absolutely know them, and I don't even have to really talk to them. I just say over here and they know exactly what I'm going to say next. So it flows fantastically whenever I create that relationship with my clients, that it's almost completely mentally understood. And it makes sessions go so much faster. It makes relationships better. It's word of mouth, even, fantastic as it possibly can get. To whereas I've never actually had to advertise anywhere. So just that the relationship with my clients is probably the best possible thing.
Yeah, that's excellent. Didn't have to advertise anywhere. Now you're traveling. Do you travel far from your home? What's the furthest away you've traveled for one of these shots?
Probably about 45 minutes is the furthest I've ever gone, to a historic downtown college.
Okay. And since you are a mother with, I think, what'd you say, 2 young children?
Yes.
What do you do with the children while you're out shooting?
My husband watches them.
Okay.
He's fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, that helps. I guess if you didn't, you would have, a sitter or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on the hour, so, we try and keep it to within the hour. And I think Lady G is saying you should come to England and shoot over there.
It's a little bit beyond the 45 minutes.
Little beyond the 45. So to close out, we generally close out with tips. And Tim, did you say you had a tip? No,
I don't think I have one today.
Morgan has kind of laid tips all throughout the entire show.
Yes.
So I don't know if you left any for the end.
I can tell them the one that I told you guys earlier.
Yeah.
Which would be if you are interested in taking a class, not specific photography, like in college or at a local community center, would be to take an acting class to learn the non-verbal human nature. For instance, the way the body moves and what they mean, their different gestures, the different stances that people and relationships, physical relationships and relationships to another person, to get that feel, the unspoken meaning across.
Very good. Very good. I would have never thought of that. My tips are more technical because I don't have the same creativity. And I don't really have a tip tonight. We had so much from Morgan. I think that'll be enough. I do hope.
The one thing I do want to say though, it's not really a tip, but and it goes along definitely with today. If you go to Morgan's website and click on her blog, there is she's got tutorials up there, actions. It was amazing going through this, and some of the things you have in there just on how to set up crafts for the little things that you do is like, this is amazing. Just go to her website and really take a look. I think you will learn just by looking at this.
And Morgan, we didn't get to nearly everything we want to talk about because these hours usually go faster than you think, but that's also a good thing in that hopefully the process was enjoyable for you, and we can have you on at another time and talk about some of the things Tim said. You've also started a very active Facebook group that has got a lot of wonderful photographers in there that we didn't talk on that tonight either. So we can save that for another date maybe.
Absolutely.
All right. If I don't know how soon you need to cut out, but we will end the live show here, and then we can talk with a couple of people in chat for a few minutes before we end completely.
Okay.
How much longer can you stay around?
As long as I need to.
Okay. Well, we won't go too long. Just want to make sure we get anybody in chat if they have any questions left over. But that'll end the live regular show. And so good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.